a secret now. I see dead people.
Welcome to Blondes and Booze. You are about to embark on a journey, one that often leads to more questions than answers. But fear not, your host, Krista, Aaron, and Brandy have the experience, the perseverance, and yes, even the gifts to pull back the veil and allow us to glimpse the other side. They will share not only their experiences, but will introduce you to world-renowned researchers and experiencers to help you find answers in the murky waters of what we call the paranormal. Their bonds with each other reach far beyond friendship, resulting in a pull no punches approach to the many subjects they explore. Their goal? To open eyes, hearts, and even minds to what lies on the other side, and the answers residing there.
Hey everybody, welcome tonight.
Welcome.
Happy Thursday.
See everybody.
Hey, happy Thursday. We appreciate everybody being here. And Brandy, you got lucky today. You're on vacation.
I did. I don't know if I got lucky, but maybe I did. Our work let us off early this morning. The heat was just excruciating already at like 9 a.m. And they're like, okay, we're done. And I'm like, but we got vacation next week. They're like, oh, well. I'm like, yay, I'm leaving.
See ya.
I am now on vacation until 13 days from now. So I'm excited.
That works. You got 13 days off?
Yes.
Wow, that'll be nice.
That hasn't happened in years, so I'm pretty excited about it.
I bet. That's awesome. And plus with the heat, so that really, I guess that's good for you.
They took that into consideration today. It was supposed to be 103, which I didn't check the final temperature, but they said heat index was up to 115 to 120 today. And inside my building, it was already reaching 95 in the building.
Holy cow, that's awful.
So yes.
I was off today from my real job, so I didn't have to go out anywhere. I did Rob's show this afternoon, and I've been sitting inside all day in the air conditioning.
Right. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Maggie. Thank you so much for our very first super sticker. While we're here, we're going to talk about this real quick. We just got monetized. So our super chat and our stickers are now available for you to get for us. That, we love you. We appreciate you. Also, we do have a new membership program. If you become a member, we'll be leaking. We're just going to say leaking stuff that nobody else gets to see into that membership. That is now open. Crystal McGee is now our very first membership. What should I say there? Trying to make it big and fancy. Think about that. She's just our very first member, and we appreciate you.
For sure.
Just trying to make it super big because we're so excited about it. This is something that Chris and I have been working for a while now, and we're finally making everything come true. And we really appreciate all of you being here and supporting us. It's fantastic. It's a great feeling.
Absolutely.
We're going to run through the channel lineup, and then I'll let Krista talk because I know I'm cutting her off, and I'm very sorry.
You're good. All good.
Anyway, on Mondays at 8 p.m. Central is Texas Front Porch. Of course, I'm with Tex as a co-host. On Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, you can catch Van Buren Variety. Now, remember, all of these, you'll have to go to their specific channel because they are no longer available on Texas Front Porch. Same time, same place. but it's their place, should I say. It's their place. So, make sure you go to their channel and like, subscribe, hit the notification buttons. On Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central, of course, is Beyond BMR with Bigfoot Michigan Rob. Wednesdays on an upcoming show. We're not sure when this is going to happen. We're hopefully very soon. We have Danielle Diva in the Diva Dimension. It will be showing at 9 p.m. Central, and that is the only other show besides Infamous Minds and Texas from Porch that will be on the porch. So just remember, those three are on the porch. On Thursday, of course, at 8 p.m. Central, it's us, the Blondes and the Booze, with me and my lovely co-host, Krista. Love her, love her. And on Friday, if you can't get enough of us, we're again 8 p.m. Central with Blondes, Booze, and the Woo. And on Saturday at 2 p.m. Central, Tex releases another episode of Infamous Minds. Yep. So make sure you, like I said, go to each and every channel and like and subscribe, because we're no longer streaming together.
Correct. And I want to remind everybody, next weekend is our Malvern Manor event. And I'll throw the flyer up here. And we only got a couple tickets left. So just let everybody know if you want to come investigate Malvern Manor with us, come on, because it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good night. There's a lot of good investigators going to be there. As you can see, there's several TV people going to be there. So it's going to be a good night. And if you don't want to investigate ghosts, Terry Mosby's going to be there, and we can go outside and look at the sky and do a little CE5 even. So a little bit.
So make sure to bring your lawn chairs, bring your coolers, bring your ghost hunting equipment, your anything. Just bring it.
Yep. And tickets are on sale on Eventbrite. And then the next thing we'll throw up here is Gatlinburg. Tickets are on sale there. Brandy and I have a booth. And if you're going to be in the Gatlinburg area, come see us, because you'll get a bonus too, because there's a lot of people that I know, a lot of people that are in chat watch the same shows. So there's several others going to be there that you guys watch their shows as well. So
exactly. D.A. Roberts is also going to be there, and he's going to be bringing some of his books. He said that he doesn't have a booth or anything. He got in too late. But if you want books, if you can't find him, just let me and Krista know. We'll just give him a little call and tell him to come on over to the booth and get you a book. So no problem.
Yep, absolutely. And then Barton Nunnally will be there. Martin Groves, they'll be there. They'll actually be in our booth. We're sharing a booth with them. That's a long story, but they'll be in with us. And then the Nana Boss, she will also be there. Robbie Raines from DA's show will be there also. And so come say hi to all of us. So for sure. Anyway, I'm excited about our guest tonight. He's a good guy. He's always in our chat. I watch his shows. Brandy watches his shows. He's been on a lot of other people's shows, and I'm just not going to waste any time. I'm just going to bring him up. Hey.
You don't even know who I am.
We know who you are, and I'm sure most people in chat know who you are. It's William Nighthawk, for those of you who don't know.
Exactly. I've been missing my Saturday morning shows. I have been just busy running here, there. I've not been even in town. And I'm like, man, I hate it. Because I usually am sitting in my bed with a cup of coffee and I'm just chatting away, and I miss that. But it's a great show on Saturday morning. So don't quit that. That's a great show. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, as long as I'm here, we'll keep on doing it.
That's right.
Yeah. I enjoy your Saturday shows as well. So you guys are actually streaming with other channels too, aren't you? Midnight.
Yeah, it's Midwest and our channel are working together. Only because it's so hard to build a base, a community, sure. And we're just kind of helping each other out, and G and Jane are like family to Tracy and I, sure. So it's like it's just working with family. That's all it is, And then everybody in the chats when we do our shows, we always bring them in too and use them in the conversations too. So, it's one big happy family just talking. So
yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. We like I said, we as Brandy stated in the opening, we were streaming under Tex and BMR, and we were kind of streaming off each other. And And YouTube shut us down with doing that. So we're no longer doing that. But it's all good, it's working out and it's all good. So anyway, let's talk some weird stuff. You want to start? What do you want to talk about? This is floor is yours tonight.
Well, it depends on how weird you want to get. I mean, if you want weird, I mean, you came to the right person, that's for sure.
It's like, let's go, let's do it.
You talk about anything.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking to somebody that literally was born into the paranormal.
Yeah.
Let's
start with ghost. You want to start with ghost? Let's start on that realm.
Well, why don't we just start with a few stories of me growing up in the haunted house and on the very, very highly active property.
That would be great.
Okay. Well, first things first. About 3.5 years old, I was literally kicked and punched almost to death by a teenage girl and her brother. And when you're that old, you don't really remember much. But when I was unconscious, I remember my grandmother coming to me and saying, "Billy, your time's not done. You need to go back and and stay there and succeed in what you're supposed to do." So, I remember going back and all that, but it seems like after that event, all the activities heightened, and my sensitivity as a child heightened too. I started seeing things and hearing things and interacting with things. And I'm talking everything from the brown cloaked hooded figures with no face, basically the Grim Reaper. I'm talking orbs. I'm talking shadow people, little people, just all kinds of stuff on the property. So
was this property in a town, or was it like out in the country, or?
It was out in the country. It wasn't real country, real rural like we are right now, but it was out in the country. So I mean, it was all farmland at the time around us, and orchards and stuff like that. So there was all kinds of woods and stuff and forests. So all kinds of creeks and streams. It was very, 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 very much like a wildlife type of an area.
Sure.
So you could always find.
Your Krista.
What's that?
Sounds like your area. You're rural, but you're not that rural. But you have all those things. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and it was always highly active. I mean, we always, as kids growing up, we saw things in the sky, over the property, and we'd see red glowing eyes coming out of the pond swamp area behind the house. I mean, just all kinds of stuff. But I think my first real recollection of having something happen was when I saw my first shadow person. And some people call them shadow people. Some people call them tree peepers. There's different terms for them, but they're basically the same thing when it comes to me. They're all darker than dark. Definitely darker than the darkness around them. They're more of a 2D, sometimes 3D image, but more of a 2D image. And I remember playing outside one day, a sunny day, broad daylight in the middle of June, and I was out back playing in the yard, and I remember something told me to look to my left, so I looked to my left, and there from one tree to the other ran this shadow person. And I saw it peep out of the first tree, and then it just took off to the second tree, and then it just kept on peeping out behind the second tree, staring at me. And I didn't, you're a little kid, 4 or 5 years old. You really don't think too much about, seeing that kind of stuff, because when we're kids, it just doesn't click with us, really. At least it didn't with me. But anyways, I was playing. I just ignored it. And the next thing I know, I got picked up and thrown about 20 feet.
Oh,
And I landed, and I turned around to look, and here's this shadow thing, and it zipped back over to the tree to where I couldn't see it again. And I got up and I ran inside the house and told my mom what happened. And she goes, "Oh, don't worry." She goes, "Those things are always around." She goes, "Let me show you why." And she took me over to her she called it her medicine case. But I call it more of like one of those old style bookcases.
Sure.
The kind that you would see in a Scooby-Doo house, the creepy ones, they have like the gargoyle figures carved into the ends and stuff, and that kind of thing. And it was in her room, and next to her one wall next to her bed. And she showed me some of the books that she had there and some of the other stuff that she had there on the shelf. And it was, there was bones there. There was herbs there and canisters. There was candles, red candles, black candles, white candles, green candles, literally everything. There was even voodoo dolls there. And then down below on the bottom shelf, she had all these witchcraft books. And she goes, "Billy, this is why they're all here and they're all active, because I talk to them." And I'm thinking to myself, okay, my mom is crazy. So, but she went further on to explain to me just what she was trying to say. And she was raised by adopted parents. My mother always told me that when she was an infant, she was stolen from her Native American parents, who were Cherokee and Shawnee. Wow. And in those days, it was like in the 1930s. So that wasn't uncommon, in them to hear about something like that happening. But one thing led to another, and she explained to me how a lot of this stuff that she was doing was called magic, and it was called Native American magic, and that she was a Native American black witch. And it clicked. Okay. The moment she said witch with the term black in front of it, I kind of knew as a child that wasn't good. So, but she goes, "I'm going to teach you everything I know, and I'm going to make you the most powerful warlock that this world's ever seen."
Wow.
And she set out on a journey with me. My dad was a truck driver at the time, so he was hardly ever around. God rest his soul. Love my father to death, but he was never around. So obviously she got away with a lot more than what she would if he was around, because my father was old school Lakota, and he was not one to be trifled with at all. He was a warrior, 150%. He was a warrior. I'm probably a quarter of the warrior that man ever was. So, and that goes to say I've done my military time too. So, but, she explained to me, and then she started teaching me ceremonies and stuff, and teaching me about the candles and about certain herbs and about incantations, and how most Native people, when we do ceremonies, we do more of not everything has to be verbal. Everything when we do ceremony and cast spells or call forth spirits, it's more of a mindset and a manifestation of visualization, if you know what I mean. You don't have to speak the words if you want it to rain. You don't have to speak the words if you want it to lightning and thunder. Okay. You don't have to speak the words if you want it to snow. All you got to do is go outside, take your shoes off, ground yourself into Mother Earth, and visualize in your mind, without saying a word, that it's raining or that it's snowing. And you have to feel it. You have to taste it. You have to just literally absorb every aspect of it sense-wise. Okay. You have to smell it, because we all know rain has a certain smell, And so does snow. But, with those things in line, you can manifest anything throughout your life. Okay. And I think that's the one thing that she taught me that I still use today, to tell you the truth, especially with all my illnesses and stuff.
Yeah.
I do a lot of manifestation. And anyways, after that, she started teaching me. And I had this best friend that lived across the street from us, and he was a bit of a loner too, like me, but he was also kind of a bully too to begin with. But that being said, he came to my mother one time because he heard that she was a witch. Okay. And he said that his older brother was beating him up and basically treating him like garbage, and, for his entire life. He just, he's sick and tired of having bruises and black eyes, and having to tell his mom that somebody else did it, because if he told on his brother, it would be 100 times worse. Well, my mom told him, you go get a lock of his hair tonight while he's sleeping, and you bring it to me tomorrow, and we'll take care of the problem. So that night, he goes and he sneaks in, and he very silently takes and cuts some of his hair off and puts it in a little envelope. And next day, he's up at the crack of dawn up to the house with this little envelope with hair in it. And my mom goes, okay, well, here's what's going to happen. You two are going to sit here and you're going to watch me do this. Okay. And you're not going to move. You're not going to say a word. You're going to let me do the thing, and you're going to let me say the words I need to say. And because if you move or anything, the spirits might get upset and take it out on you. And we don't want that to happen. So anyways, she did her thing. She made this dough, and she made this, I guess the only way to describe it is like a dough bread type of a gingerbread type of a looking doll out of dough. Okay. And she did whatever incantations on it. She put whatever herbs that she put into it. And I don't want to get into all the details, but let's just say she did what she was supposed to do. She baked it in the oven, and after about 20 minutes, she brought it out, put the hair on it, and put it back in. Okay. And baked it with the hair in the dough and on the head of the doll, brought it back out to cool. And she took a black cloth and she laid the black cloth down on the counter, and she took that doll, hair and all, and put it in the center of the black cloth. Okay. And she did whatever cantations she did. Okay. She folded that black cloth up around the doll, and she said, now, here's what we're going to do. She goes, you two are going to walk with me. We're going to go over to the garbage can, and we're going to place this doll in the bottom of the garbage can. And we're thinking to ourselves, why is she doing this? But she never told us why she was doing it. She just did it. Okay. We go over and we saw her put it in the bottom of the trash can, and we saw her put the trash bag on top of it. And she goes, now, whatever you do, don't take that doll out of there for 30 days. She goes, it has to be no less than 30 days. Okay. You have to keep it in there. Don't take it out whatsoever, no matter what happens. And anyways, next thing we know, he goes home, and he comes back the next day, and he goes, Mama Hall, he goes, whatever you did, it worked, because my older brother stinks, and he's taken tomato baths and all these kind of baths and pine tar soap baths and everything, baking soda baths, all kinds of stuff. And he can't get the stink off of him, and it's worse than any skunk. And she goes, well, that's the point. She goes, the point is to prove to him that there are forces out there that can control your life that you have no say-so over.
Yeah.
And anyways, for 30 days straight, his older brother could not get this stink off of him. Okay. And he tried and tried and tried, and finally he got so frustrated he was going taken to the doctors. The doctors couldn't understand what was going on. They had something hormonal or something with the sweat glands. You know how doctors are.
Yeah.
And nope. After 30 days, my mother and me and my friend walked out back with her to the trash can, and she pulled the doll out of the trash, and immediately the stink went away from him.
Oh.
Wow. Dang.
So yeah, this is the kind of stuff that, when I talk about on the shows, and that's just a small sample of what I've gone through.
You have a question real quick. Let's answer it because this kind of does tie in with your mom. Growing Old with Purpose asks, do you think your mom turned to that life because of being taken away from her real family, or did she think she was born to that way of life?
Well, here's the thing. Her adoptive parents were from Logan County, West Virginia. Okay. And they were a minister and his wife. So I don't know if it was because she always talked about the old ways and the old black magic of the native people, and she was very, 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 very knowledgeable. Okay. We've even done flesh offering ceremonies to the point where we've done skinwalker ceremonies. We have done virtually every type of ceremony under the sun. She had me trained so well when I was young that I could manipulate people's minds and people's thoughts in their mind. I could mind speak somebody. I could, sitting in class in school, I could look at somebody's back of their head and I could just picture the wrong answer to put in their head, and they would write it out in a chalkboard. So,
wow.
Yeah, every too detailed. That's how it was. Okay.
Wow.
But anyways, to make a long story short, that's what happened. As soon as she took that doll out, the stink was gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's some pretty deep stuff.
Yeah. What did you think at that time that was happening? Did you think that maybe your mom had gone off the deep end and this is not going to work, or that?
I knew as soon as he came back the next day and told me what was going on, that my mother knew something that most people did not know.
Wow.
And I didn't, as her son and as her child, I wasn't about to doubt her, because even though you love your parents, at least you try to love your parents and you try to respect your parents, which every child should. Sometimes there's those things that make you afraid of your parents, And I'm not talking the old, I'm going to hit you with the belt if you're not good or don't behave. I'm not talking that kind of fear. I mean, we all have that kind of fear. But I'm talking more of a heavy weight that's put down on you that makes you wonder what's going to happen if you let your guard down as a child.
Yeah.
Right. Or if you said something to the wrong person.
Exactly.
Let that secret out. You never know what's going to happen to you.
Exactly. And my mother used to take me to this other witch's house in the city, and I remember I used to hate going to this house. This house was, you talk about Scooby-Doo house, this house was 100 times worse than any Scooby-Doo house I ever saw in a cartoon. So it had, on the side yard, it had 6-foot chain link fences around the side yard. It was covered halfway over, and on the concrete slab where the side yard was dozens upon dozens of these creepy, almost like demonic statues made, like the old concrete statues you'd find in cemeteries with the gargoyles and and the angel with the sword going down, and just all kinds of real creepy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Angels with the wings spread and one eye in the center. I mean, just really creepy stuff. And we used to have to we used to have to walk through there in order to get to the door to get into the house. And
Oh my gosh.
we used to walk through there, and I remember it was so creepy. I remember just kind of just looking at the statues and just wondering which one of them was going to jump out at me, and try to scare me, But anyways, we'd get inside, and they would start their conversation in a dialect that I didn't even know. It was some kind of it almost sounded German to me. But as a child, you don't really, you don't know. It could have been Native American for all I know.
Wow.
But it was no dialect that I ever knew. But anyways, they were talking to each other in it, and then they started reading each other's tea leaves. And the old witch goes to me, she goes, "Billy, how is your training coming?" And I'm thinking to myself, how does this woman know about what my mom's teaching me?
Right.
And anyways, she goes on to, she goes, "Well, come here, I want to show you something." She goes, "I'm going to show you how to read tea leaves." And I'm thinking to myself, okay. And she goes, "Now look at the cup." And then she goes, "Look at the formations of the tea, the herbs that are on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
You see how some of them form certain shapes and some of them form certain, letters and numbers, and it just, everything, symbolisms, everything." She went through the whole thing and basically taught me how to read tea leaves at the age of about 4 years old, which, no child should ever be able to do that. But she did. Anyways, we'd leave from there, and every time we left from there, something weird was always happening. Like the one time we left after that session of the tea leaves, and them talking to each other, the side door opened by itself.
Wow.
Okay, and we're talking a screen door. We're talking a screen door that had the spring on it to pull it back. Yeah, it stayed open. It stayed open until we got out of the house.
Wow.
And as soon as we got out of the house, my mom's like, "What do you think about that?" And I go, what do you mean?" She goes, "About the doors." She goes, "Did you think I'd be able to do that?"
Wow.
And I kind of looked at her like, "No, I didn't think that was you." So but yeah, that's the kind of power my mom had, Now, I don't know if this other elderly woman was part of a covenant that she was part of, or whether it was just another witch from, somebody that she knew, that was old world. But I got the feeling that this woman was more of a European type of a witch and not a Native American witch.
Wow.
So, but
that's crazy.
Well, it sounds like to me is what I would consider, I guess, a kitchen witch in today's terms. That they use their kitchens and spices and herbs and things like that. They use those in the things that they do. I mean, that's what I call them today.
Right.
But
I'm sure as a child, being as young as you were, that would have scared you out of your mind.
Well, let's put it this way. I was more afraid of her than I was of anything happening. Because if she had the power to pull off some of the stuff that she was doing, I knew I didn't have anything to fear.
Yeah. Gotcha. You've got several questions here, and we'll answer them real quick. Let me get to them. Growing Old with Purpose asks, why do you think she taught you so young?
Well, I always wondered about that too, but being Native American, we teach our children from birth on. I mean,
That makes sense.
Right.
you know, I
Yes.
mean, it's just part of our culture. So, you know, we teach our kids through stories. Oral tradition is a biggie. Certain games that we play teaches us how to shoot a bow or how to hunt or how to throw a spear. The stick and hoop game was a big one for Native Americans. Lacrosse was another one that taught you battle skills.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, a lot of stuff growing up Native American, we do learn from birth
Right.
and on. So, kind of like the Japanese culture, you know, where they raise their children to do the tea ceremonies and
Mhm.
you know the martial arts and stuff like that. So,
Mhm. Okay. Well, and Terry, our friend Terry, she asked, "Are you still a practitioner?"
the only thing I do right now, and this is just because of my Native American heritage, I'm what you consider a Wachashawakan. I'm considered a holy man. Okay, and what I do is I go around and do ceremonies for people, house blessings, house cleansings. I remove evil spirits. I protect people from skinwalkers. Yes, I said the S word. You know, I do all the ceremonies
Yeah.
because I know about the ceremonies. You know, what better person to have you protect you than somebody that's been there.
Sure.
So
I agree. I agree. What about like, so as you grew up and you obviously had an interest in all of this stuff, when did you actually like, I know you said, I know you've been in the military, the whole 9 yards. Did you put a break on it, halt on it then, or how did you like,
well,
did you ever go do like private cases and things like that and help people, or, how
I've
did all this come about?
I've done so many private cases, but you know, for the longest time, I put a stop to it when I was in the military because obviously you have to put your time
Mhm.
elsewhere
Yeah,
because you're busy trying to stay alive. Um,
sure.
but yeah, for the most part, I mean, my father actually put a stop to it when I was like 14 years old, 15 years old almost. Um, and he came home and he saw that she was teaching me some incantations and stuff and some visualization, and he went ballistic. He grabbed all the stuff off of her shelf. He grabbed all of our rock and roll albums, everything he could think that was
Hmm.
evil. He grabbed it up and he took it out back and he lit this big bonfire. And to
Yeah.
this day, I swear to God and everything that's holy that you could see a 20-foot tall devil in the flames of that stuff when it was burning.
Hmm.
Mm, 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 mm.
Wow, that's
That,
crazy.
yeah, I was just getting ready to say, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And I
wow.
mean, there's several other things too that happened in the household too that didn't really pertain to the witchcraft part of it. The one day, I think I was like 5 years old, and I was sitting on my mom's lap in a chair in the corner of the living room, facing our kitchen dinette area of the house. And the house that we grew up in was a ranch style house.
Hmm.
The basement stairs didn't have a door on them. Okay. So it was that creepy kind of winding stairs. You go down 10 steps to a platform, and then you go down another 8 steps into the creepy
Yeah.
wet
Hmm.
basement, that
Right.
kind of a thing. But anyways, we're sitting there and the room got really cold, and all of a sudden I couldn't move. And my mom whispered to me, you know, can you move, Billy? And I said, no, Mom, I can't. And she goes, well, neither can I. The only thing we can do was turn our heads left or right. So something told me to look towards the kitchen, you know, to view the kitchen stair, you know, the basement stairs coming up from the kitchen into the kitchen. And my mom and I both saw the exact same figure come out of the basement. and it was this brown cloaked hooded figure, no arms or no hands, no face, because it turned and looked at us, and it was just black. Okay. And we didn't see any feet. It was like floating. It was floating across the floor. And it floated through the kitchen and apparently went down the hallway. Okay. And my half sister was sleeping in one of the bedrooms. And at the time, she had a bit of a drug problem, let's say. Okay. And back in them days, drugs was a big problem, especially when our own CIA was pushing a lot of the LSD on people. But anyways, that's a whole nother rabbit hole. Anyways, apparently this thing flew open the door and picked up the end of the bed that my half sister was sleeping in and slammed it onto the floor because we heard it hit. And then we heard her scream. And apparently when she screamed, it broke whatever thing was tying us up, not being able to move. So we were able to get up then and start going down the hallway. And I remember my mom had me in her arms, and she's running with me in her arm like this. And, we see my half sister run through this thing, and she ran smack dab into the wall across the hallway from the doorway on the other side of the wall and knocked herself out. So, and the thing disappeared as soon as she ran through it.
So do you feel that was a demonic type entity that was conjured, or what do you feel like that was?
Well, here's the thing. With all the activity that my mother had created, let's say, or opened up the portal to have it all come in, the one part of our basement that was probably the creepiest was the north side of the basement. And at this spot in the basement was an artesian well. Okay. Now, anybody that knows anything about artesian wells knows that there's constant water flow from an underground river that constantly feeds the well. Okay. And I always thought that water seemed a little bit more darker than water should be. So, and I always had a feeling that things came out of the water. So I honestly think that might have been the portal.
And that's possible. Well, also, do you think that maybe your sister kind of brought this one to her because of her drug use?
Yeah, no doubt about that. Yeah,
I gotta say, I'm sorry for stepping out a minute, but that was weird. You were talking about that stuff, and my car alarm started going off out of the blue by itself. That was weird. Just saying. Yeah.
And I'm and this is just the start of it too, guys, because every time I talk about this stuff, strange things happen.
Yeah, okay. That was strange. My car alarms never went off like that before. That was just weird.
If mine goes off, we're all going to hear it because my office is literally on the other side. The garage is on the other side, so we're going to hear it goes off. So listen.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys have pictures starting to move or cabinet doors open behind you, or just go with it.
I'm starting to slide back. I'm like getting all into this, and I'm slide back my chair. And I'm like, I gotta scoop myself back up.
Yeah.
Well,
but I don't get in the story because I keep pushing my chair.
Yeah. Well, I will say, like, if the keys, in a pocket or something, sometimes it will go off. But that was just weird that you were talking about that.
My keys are in my car, so if that happens, like I said,
I'm not saying that was paranormal, but that was just weird.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that was crazy.
Anyways, with the artesian well in the basement, there was one time that the well pump quit working, and my father had this bright idea. Well, Billy's small. Maybe I can lower him down in there to pull the chain up to get the well pump out. So he lashed a rope around me, tied it off. Lowered me down in there. I think I was like 8 years old, maybe, at that time.
No,
And
just no.
I remember the water being really, really cold, but
Right.
it looked black. It looked like, you know how you take your hand and cup it in water and you could see like your hand?
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't see that. I just saw black,
Wow.
you know, and the water was crystal clear, but I was just seeing, I guess I was seeing the spiritual essence of the water
Mm-hmm.
because it was negatively charged, okay, by all the activity. And I just, I realized that as an adult that's why I probably saw it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, he lowered me down in there, and I start pulling the well pump up, and I just get it up to above the surface of the water, and I latch the chain off on the bolt that's into the
Mm-hmm.
side of the well, so my dad would be able to reach it. And all of a sudden, something grabbed me by the ankles and pulled me back under the water.
Oh my goodness, no.
And
Wow.
it literally felt like somebody's hands grabbed a hold of my ankles. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And when it pulled me under the water, I looked straight up at my dad, and my dad's face he got really angry. And he reached down in there and he grabbed me by the strap of my back of my shirt. And thank God my old man was strong as an ox, because he actually picked me up out of the well with one arm and set me off to the side.
Wow.
Yeah. And, that was the first and the last time I ever got lowered into that well.
Yeah.
So,
I would imagine.
yeah,
I would imagine.
he asked me what happened, and I told him, but I don't think he believed me. I think
Mm-hmm.
he thought I was making it up, but something did actually grab me by the ankles
Yeah.
and pull me under the water.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And you know what? I know what you're talking about when you said it feels like something pulls you down. Because if we did an event over in Potosi, Missouri, and I was being choked, and I could feel hands on my throat.
yeah,
I could feel it,
exactly.
like somebody was literally choking me. So
Exactly.
I get exactly what you
Yeah.
felt like. Felt
Yeah.
like real hands, because it does. It truly
Yeah.
does.
It does. Anybody that's ever felt that, anybody that's ever had their hair pulled
Oh
or
yeah,
been pushed or or whatnot,
yeah,
it's terrifying. It really is, especially if you're a child.
yeah, yeah. I couldn't imagine being a child and going through that. I really couldn't.
Somebody had said in chat something about could it have been a water elemental? I mean, that was
Yeah.
what
Oh, yep. I started. There we go.
it's what came to my mind when you're talking about an artesian well.
Hmm.
Right. Now, it very well could have been. But for all I know, it could have been just a demonic spirit. And I don't want to use that term demonic too
Right.
too much, because you don't want to go into a location and go, that's demonic, this is demonic, and that's
Right.
demonic,
Oh yeah.
But you got to understand, growing up in that kind of an atmosphere, there was a lot of demonic activity.
Mhm.
Okay. And we're talking everything from skinwalker ceremonies to the brown cloaked hooded figures. I mean, just all kinds of stuff. So
Yeah, I totally get it.
We call them nasties.
Yeah.
Nasties.
Do. And I'm like you, I've done so many private cases, and when people contact you, they're scared, and they're like, a lot of them do say, I have a demon in my house,
mhm.
and I don't discount them. However, I know, demons are very real.
Yeah.
However, I feel they're very few and far between. There are a lot of nasty energies out there, that were human spirits that pose and that act like, a demonic entity. People are getting scratched and tossed.
They were they were just mean in life, and they're
Yep.
going to be mean in death, and
Right. Right, exactly.
Exactly.
So
nasties.
that's one of the big things that we try to calm people down, when it comes to that. And I might, like Brandy said, if they're good in life, they're good in death, and that's how I feel. Same thing, if they're bad in life, they were bad in death.
Yeah. Well, in fact, when if they're bad in life, they're probably going to be 100 times worse than death.
Yeah. You're right on that. You're absolutely right on that. There's a couple things. We're getting ready to have to take a 5-minute break, but I want to talk about really quick. And the first one is I want to tell everybody, like, Brandy and I appreciate all the love that you guys have given us tonight.
Absolutely.
Crystal, I'm going to go down here again and give shout outs to everybody.
Well, yeah, because we have Crystal and Be Kind were our first two members.
Yep. Be Kind right here. Yes, we got that. And then Maggie for the super sticker. We have BMR. Thank you. Thank you, Be Kind. Anne, thank you.
Thank you.
Nana Boss, thank you very much. We appreciate all of those.
Big hearts.
Sure.
Big hearts.
Yep. And the thing is, Brandy and I, we go out and we go out and we do investigations, we do research, we do, all that good stuff. And it's not cheap for us. And so we definitely appreciate it all for sure.
Yeah.
And real quick, William, you have a fundraiser going on. Do you want to tell a little bit about that? And I will drop the link and honestly, I'm going to tell you, I don't usually, I understand everybody goes through hard times, but I know what you've been through, and I have no problem promoting this on our channel.
Crystal, let me hang on to that. We've got about 30 seconds, and I want to give him the time to explain it. So after the break, we'll go right to it because I want to give him the time to really talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. When we come back, we will do that. And then let's talk more. Like you are just so interesting. And I mean, I have a gazillion questions for you. So let's talk more of this stuff when we come back. If you're cool with that.
That's
fine.
And
then if we have time, we can touch on the cryptid thing. But if not, that's okay too.
That's fine.
Okay. You're good with that. All right. Well, everybody, we are getting ready to take a 5-minute break here. And you know the drill. Just stick around. We will be right back. 5 minutes. Good time to go refill your drinks and use the bathroom. So we'll see you in 5 minutes.
Bye.
4 minutes to go, folks. 4 minutes. Three minutes. We're almost there. 2-minute warning, guys. 2-minute warning. One minute. 1 minute.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for sticking around and staying with us. And there's Brandy.
I'm here. Sorry, I was running a little late.
It's all good.
That was 5.5 minutes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I was flipping it around and at first trying to find it because I don't know if Bigfoot Michigan Rob has been in here, but every time I would, put my screen up, it would have.
I know,
his
me
face
too.
on
It goes to BMR. That's funny.
So I'm back there. I'm like, okay, I'll put this on.
Right.
I can tell
Right.
he's been here. So if I'm correct, tomorrow night we
do have BMR tomorrow night. Yeah.
Yes.
We
So
were supposed to have Steve Stockton, and he had to cancel. So BMR, he's the trooper, and he's like, yeah, he'll come on. So that'll work.
He says he's an ABC agent.
I've seen that. Nighthawk, do you want to tell us about your GoFundMe page? And I'm gonna drop it in link, guys, and tell as much or as little as you're comfortable with.
Well, how do I want to say this? When I died when I was a child, and had that NDE, that near-death experience, that wasn't the only one. In 2019, just after my birthday in April, I was diagnosed with esophageal cancer. And at that time, I was choking on water when I went to the hospital. So I couldn't even swallow water. And the doctor at the emergency room diagnosed me right away and told me without treatment, I've got 6 months to live. Yeah. Now, those are the words you never, ever want to hear, is that you have 6 months to live. At that time, things start rifling through your head. What could I have done different? Do my family members know that I love them, unconditionally, and just all kinds of stuff just goes through your mind, and then you start thinking, well, where am I going to go, after I die? Where is my spirit going to go? Am I going to go to my ancestors? Am I going to go to hell? Am I going to, because you think these kind of things,
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, they expedited my treatments, I had 30 days of radiation in a row. And the maximum amount of radiation I could get, they said basically would kill a bull elephant.
Wow.
But the mass that I had in my esophagus, surrounded my esophagus, was almost 11 centimeters.
Wow.
Which that's a pretty big mass.
Okay, that's
So they had to blast it with as much radiation to shrink it for surgery as they could. But anyways, to make a long story short, I went through a 9-hour surgery, and apparently I died twice on the table. They had to, one time they massaged my heart to get my heart working again. And the other time they just used adrenaline to get my heart working again. So yeah, it was very traumatic to me. They removed my esophagus and they pulled my stomach up and made my stomach my new esophagus. So I literally don't have an esophagus. I have what's connected here as my stomach that they made my esophagus. So I've got like this straight tube for my stomach and my esophagus. So at least that's how they described it to me. But yeah, that was really something to go through. And after that initial surgery and all that, we started the GoFundMe for myself because I lost my job. I didn't have any medical insurance at the time, and one thing led to another, and I just I fell on hard times. I've still got medical bills that I haven't paid. Literally, cancer not only ruined me physically, and did my damage to me mentally, but it ruined me financially too. And that's a lot of people don't understand that. That how can you go from being okay to just losing everything? Well, cancer is one way you can do that. To this day, I've been diagnosed with a mass on my brainstem, and it's slowly what it is it's slowly pinching off my nerves and my spinal cord, and the blood flow to the rest of my body. And eventually, it's going to pinch it off so much that I eventually will die. They don't know if it's going to be tomorrow. They don't know if it's going to be next week, next year. But it's literally a slow death sentence, on top of having the original cancer. I also had cancer removed from my colon, and they're currently watching a 5 millimeter mass on my left lung in my chest. So,
wow.
But yeah, that's what the GoFundMe's for. A lot of people, think, well, damn, man, this guy's got to be like, indestructible. But, it's destroyed me in ways that I can't even describe. It takes a lot out of you. When I was laying in that hospital bed for 8 months out of the year, and then having to go through COVID and all that,
Sure.
During the recovery and all that from surgery and all the other surgeries on top of that. It's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do. And then watching your family members go through it too, because just as much as you as the cancer patient go through it, your family's going through it too with you.
Absolutely.
And, that's one thing that a lot of people don't understand, that when you're given to the GoFundMe, you're given to the whole family, because not only are you helping me, but you're helping my family survive too, especially if something happens to me. It very well could be. But yeah, that's the extent of, why we have the GoFundMe.
Yeah. Well, William, you've been in my prayers for a long time, and you'll stay there, for sure. For sure. So just know that. And
absolutely.
Yep. And like I said, a lot of these GoFundMe's, I understand people go through rough times and stuff, and I donate when I can, and however, this happened. This is nothing you can control, you
Right.
know, and I definitely empathize with you,
Mhm.
on everything that you're going through, and the fact that you're here on our show talking about it. That sounds
Yeah.
pretty good in itself, I mean,
Yeah, my own surgeons tell me that I'm a walking guinea pig, that I shouldn't even be alive. That
That's
it's
what
a miracle. It's a miracle that I'm alive because one of my my Marine brother that I was going through treatment with, Kenny, he wasn't so lucky. He ended up succumbing to it, and he had the same exact type of cancer I had.
wow.
Um, so
Yeah.
and you never can tell. You can't tell when your time is, you know.
Hmm.
But alls I could think of was, my grandmother saying way back when, Billy, it's not your time. You're not done yet. You've got more to do, you know.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think you're still here for a purpose, and I agree with that. You do have more to do, you know. I feel like you're a wealth of information, you're a wealth of knowledge. You help people. I know of several people who have reached out to you for help. And I feel like if I needed help in that way, you'd help me too. And
Oh
and
yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm really appreciative of what you do, you
yeah.
know.
That's why I'm here, I guess, still because people still need help, and whether it's fending off a supernatural attack, which we're kind of going through right now.
Wow.
In fact, yeah, we some of the stuff that Dennis and Gerald and I talk about, and
Mhm.
now Carlito is part of the family too on the podcast on Friday
Mhm.
nights. Um, some of the stuff we talk about is it upsets the powers that be,
Mhm.
because the information that we have. I mean, you've got to understand that between Dennis and I collectively, we have at least 100 years worth of paranormal and supernatural experience.
yes,
Absolutely.
we do. Yes,
So,
we do.
that in itself is, is one thing to consider. But when we say we're going to help people, that's what we do. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
You know, the greatest power in the world is unconditional love, and
Mhm.
that is literally the greatest power in the world. You want to build your vibration up, show unconditional love. You know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
for anybody out there that can help, please help. If you can't, share it out. That will still help.
And
So
pray and
yeah,
pray or whatever it is that you do,
Yeah.
for sure. Because I'm sure you'll take all of that too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I like prayers.
Hmm.
And believe it or not, I'm so sensitive. I can feel the prayers. You
Wow,
know.
that's fantastic.
So,
Yeah. On this note, let me ask you a question because I've known, a lot of psychic mediums over the years. And a lot of them, as like they absorb different energies, or they're reading someone, this person, died of cancer, this one had heart issues, this one. Do you feel like that maybe sometimes people with abilities like it, such as yourself, that you absorb some of that? And maybe because I hear about people like that who do come up, and they get sick.
well,
yes.
I definitely feel like there is something other to play for what I'm going
Mhm.
through. Whether it's past life, um, or whether it's absorbing what's happening to Mother Earth, Makal Wakan, Sacred Mother
Yeah,
Earth. Because just as much as I'm a holy man for the people, I'm a holy man for Mother Earth too.
sure.
It's in my nature, in my DNA, to
Hmm.
protect the earth, and and everything that walks upon it.
Hmm.
And that's something that I don't take lightly. And that's why when I say I'm here to help people, I'm here to help people. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
um, all the bad stuff that I've gone through in life, including the stuff in the military.
Yeah, and thank you for your service, by the way.
Yes.
Thank you. But including the military, and it was some bad stuff that I've seen and that I've done too. And but I think this whole battle with this enemy that I've never really known about and always taken for granted when I see the cancer commercials on TV or whatnot. You always take it for granted. Oh, it's not going to happen to me, and boom, all of a sudden it does. It wakes you up,
Absolutely, it does. Wow. Well, continued prayers, William, for sure. I've been praying for you for a long time now, and I will definitely continue to do so. Let's move on to Ghost. Let's go back to Ghost.
Okay, go back to Ghost. All right.
Yeah. Let's go back to Ghost.
How many of you out there know what fife and drum music is? You do? like the whole 1700s fife and drum music from like the Revolutionary War. Well,
I know
we
of it.
Yeah,
Yes.
we did a ghost, and I hate to say ghost investigation. We did a spirit investigation, and in Maryland, and it was in Brunswick, Maryland, as a matter of fact. And we were there from probably about 9 o'clock at night till better part of 6 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., somewhere around there. And after we got done, I cleansed the house and the property and all that. And this was Mid-Atlantic Paranormal Investigations, that a big group on the East Coast. And I'm not even sure if they're still around because this was a while ago. And anyways, reviewing some of the EVPs and all that from that investigation, they were having all kinds of disturbances, all kinds of furniture scooting around on the floor in the attic, things being moved and dropped and thrown in the basement, all kinds of stuff. So that's why I actually cleansed the house and the property when we got done. And I typically try to do that only when I sense something that's not beneficial to the homeowners, if you know what I mean. So after cleansing it, I went and, then the group got cleansed too that was in there with us, and prayers were said. And we went back and started reviewing the evidence. And the first thing that I captured was this voice coming across from the attic, and it was saying, "Uh-oh, it's Nighthawk." So they already knew that I was coming. So, and that was before I even introduced myself, So I thought that was kind of cool. But then again, you kind of wonder, should you worry about them knowing your name without you telling them or what, But you always had that in the back of your head. But one of the other things I captured too on EVP, which I thought was really cool, was I was in the basement with a buddy of mine doing the investigation in the basement, and we did an EVP session, and we didn't get any response from any of the questions. But when you play the EVP back, it was the old Revolutionary War fife and drum music, and it was loud, and you could hear the steps of people marching and all that. So I'm thinking that had something to do with the Revolutionary War, maybe.
Yeah.
At that location.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought
I captured EVPs from a Civil War battlefield, and you can hear cannons.
Oh yeah.
In the EVP.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, anybody that's around Gettysburg, PA, coming up in July, they have that. what they call the Gettysburg Bash, and it's where all the paranormal groups get together, and they have this big weekend up there, and you know, you get to meet all the famous psychics, and you know, Dave Schrader and all of them. So you know, you know, but yeah, it's pretty cool. I've never been there.
Some people get caught up on the, oh, I want to talk to a spirit. I want to ask them questions. I want to, but they don't understand that a residual haunting is fabulous. You get to hear and sample a taste of what happened in that time frame. It is amazing. You can actually hear the sound, and if you're really lucky, you can feel it.
Yeah,
it's
true.
It's just like a lot of people dismiss that, and it's like don't, because you're gonna get a lot more than you bargained for. So anyway, that out there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree 150% with you, Brandy, on that. Yeah, definitely, I agree with that. Wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
So.
For those of you that don't know, a residual haunting is something it just repeats in time. You're not acknowledged that you're there. It's just something that constantly repeats.
It's like a loop.
It's a loop.
Right. When people always say, well, the woman, I always see a woman in a white dress coming down the stairs, and it's the same thing every time. She's not there. She's just a loop, just redoing what she did every time. But
what it is it's the residual energy from any spirit, depending on how tragic of a passing they had, depends on the severity of the haunting or the residual energy. There's a lot of tragedy in a lot of these places that we all go to and investigate. I'm sure you guys know that for a fact. You hear the cannon fire, you hear the gunfire, you know, it's just, you hear all kinds of things going off. That kind of stuff is typically going to be residual, because it happens all the time and it's repetitive over and over and over again. Whereas if you have somebody that's a intelligent haunting, is usually going to be one where they can name you, they can communicate with you, answer questions. And I'm for one, I don't know how you guys feel, but I'm for one, I don't like to provoke.
We don't either.
Yeah.
No, never.
So, now I'm not gonna fib. Like, we have done some cases that, needed it. You know what I'm saying? To get to find out exactly what's there, and those were and actually a couple of the demonic cases that we did provoke then, just to find out for sure if it was demonic or not.
Bear to get the bear to come out, and I mean, unfortunately, that is the instance of the demonic cases.
Well, I usually don't poke the bear. In fact, my wife got me a little sign here that I love. I gotta put it up. It says,
"That's awesome." Very cool.
Anyways, that's gonna be on the door. But anyways, but as far as I mean, if I'm on the other side in the spirit world and somebody's trying to provoke me, I'm sorry, I'm gonna hit you with everything I got.
Right.
I'm gonna make your life miserable, and probably follow you home and make your family miserable. So
in a normal type haunting that is not believed demonic, we don't do it. Only in special circumstances.
Right.
And here's an example of one time that we have. It was at a location that we knew it was a negative haunting. It wasn't a demonic case, but it was a nasty there, and it's like he was quiet all night. Couldn't get him to come out, So we started provoking to get him to come to us, and so we were able to take care of him.
All right.
That's why we did that. We go to private homes and stuff, and we don't provoke or anything, because you know what? At the end of the day, we get to leave. You don't. So we're not going to make it any worse on you, So
it's a definite extreme circumstance. But provoking is not a normal for us by any means.
No,
We,
not
Right.
at all.
I don't even like doing it ever.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, we're very respectful. And even Brandy, she'll tell you, like, some of the questions, it's not, you see on the TV where people say, oh, what year is it? And this or that. Brandy will say, what's your favorite ice cream? Trying to get a response,
Butter and jelly. Mine's always the food ones. It's just
Yeah.
because I want to talk to them.
Yeah.
And most EVPs or evidence I get while, hey, we're just having normal conversations. Well, they want to be a part of that. So
Yeah.
we just
Yeah.
have normal
And
conversations. I got
what
in
people need to realize,
Yeah.
what investigators need to realize too, as a whole, is that you're talking to spirits. You're talking to people that once lived
Yes.
in a body like we're in.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
And some of them, majority of them probably passed in a tragic way or a short lifespan
Sure.
to where they have unfinished business.
Mhm.
And that's
Yeah.
the link to this world, why they're still here instead of in heaven or wherever they're supposed to be.
Absolutely.
So and I saw in the chat what one question about what's the difference between a looping and a haunting.
Yeah, I did star that question.
Yeah,
Yes.
to me the difference is you got residual, which is a looping, okay, which is your energy, your ambiance energy that's left over
Mhm.
from a tragedy, okay, and it's like playing a tape recorder over and over again, like Brandy said about the woman in white going down the stairs, and then the same time every day, same location every day. That's a looping, okay. And they're all technically hauntings. It's
Mhm.
just that you have to
Right.
put different degrees on them,
Mhm.
okay. So a typical haunting would be an intelligent haunting.
Yeah.
Poltergeist is another one. Demonic hauntings are another one. And I'll put this out there to everybody too, though. When you're dealing with the demonic love to go to church.
Mhm.
They love the Bible.
Yeah.
Because they're constantly the demons are constantly trying to brush up on the Bible because they're going to use it against you.
Yep.
So
And a true demonic entity, and I have witnessed this myself, they have ungodly strength. Casper does not. Casper might throw a brush across the room.
yeah,
A true demonic entity is going to toss your refrigerator,
yeah,
Or you.
yep,
Or you. Yeah.
or you. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. So
exactly.
it's there's a difference, and there's different ways to tell. Like in one case too, putting holy water in a water bottle and asking that person they're thirsty, take a drink.
Mhm.
And, if they choke or they don't want to do it, they know immediately, you better pay attention. Because there's
Yeah.
something a little more to it than Casper.
Have you guys ever done hauntings with like a haunted object?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yes. We the Ray County Museum that we go to, it is full of artifacts, and there's several items there that are
Yes.
attachments.
There's tons of them. And you're just looking around going, okay, where's this coming from?
Yeah.
Because there's so many objects. You have to
Yeah.
actually spend some time to pinpoint it.
Yeah. And there
Yeah.
we did I did a private case years ago, and it's probably been 7-8 years ago. And there was a haunted doll. And we ended up removing the doll, and we buried it and put sand over it, or salt over it, and did the whole 9 yards. But yeah, items very easily get attachments, I believe.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, definitely. And again, that has to do with whatever tragedy is attached to it, or whatever energy
Yeah.
is attached to it. That's why I always try to use caution when I go to like an antique store or something.
Yep.
You always want to listen to your sixth sense. When you're buying something in an antique store.
Yeah.
So
I don't go antiquing. I don't have any of that stuff in my house. I don't go to garage sales. I don't, just because, that's an invite. The demonic need to be invited in. You buy something that has that attachment to it, has, some sort of demon on it. You just invited it in by bringing it home. I don't need that.
And especially something that you just see and then you have this automatic obsession for it. Be
Right.
very careful. Be very careful.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
And
So
don't be buying divot boxes online either.
Right.
No,
Right.
don't do it. Don't.
We actually had a Jason Haxton on our show, and he's the one that actually bought the Dybbuk box, and he sold it to Zach Bagans.
Oh,
and the Dybbuk box was kept in Kirksville, Missouri here, and it's he has a replica of it now, and it's interesting the whole story behind the Dybbuk.
Oh yeah.
I cannot believe they opened that thing. I can't believe they opened it. But
yeah, I did see that where Zach Bagans opened it.
I'm hoping it was a replica and that was just for TV's sake.
Yeah, I would hope so. Yeah.
And knowing Zach, I would say it probably wasn't the hoax.
Probably wasn't.
Probably. He probably just opened that thing up. And to speak to that guy, what was his name? Scott. What was his last name? The one the original owner,
of the Dybbuk box?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know who the original owner is. I just know Jason Haxton.
Okay, Jason. Okay, there we go. Slipped my mind right there. But to hear him speak of it and the things that were happening to him and to his family, I would have never opened that up.
No.
Ever.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Have you ever brought anything home that was haunted or anything like that, William?
Well, I mean, usually people that leave my property when I was growing up and in my house took it home with them. So,
wow. Yeah.
I mean, I always had it around me. Even cryptids. Not to get off the subject, but
no, we can talk cryptids. We're good with that.
Even the cryptids, even like we were Bigfooting before Bigfooting was cool, to tell you the truth. My father used to set up at night with me at midnight, when he got home from driving truck, and used to talk to me about, the forest people, and Big Brother, and how Big Brother was always going to be there to protect the forest and the animals in the forest.
Right.
And they always watch to make sure that humans don't go in there and disrespect, the environment,
Right.
Which kind of makes them almost like an elemental, if you ask me. But, that kind of a spirit.
Sure.
But, he always told me that they have special abilities, and all that. They walk in both worlds. And that's one thing that I have in common with them. I walk in both worlds too. I literally, I mean, as we're sitting here, I see orbs, I see, spirits, I see all kinds of stuff going around me. I see kind of like what they would do. It's almost like a time reading, where you see timelines over top of each other. And like, I can see like where there's a house, I can see that there was a boulder and a tree stump at one time, and I can see the bugs crawling on the tree stump, that kind of a thing. And then the next minute there's a house there, I see timelines like that too. So that I understand in their aspect. They do have, I mean, if I'm able to do these things, I'm sure they're able to do these things. Because when you're dealing with Bigfoot, Big Brother, you're dealing with a being that, and notice I use the word being and not monster or creature or animal or beast. I hate every one of those words. The only time that they get aggressive is when they feel you're threatening their family, or you're destroying their environment, or you're taking away from their food source, that kind of a thing. Otherwise they're going to gift you and all that, and be respectful to you, if you're respectful to them. And they know you're going to the woods before you know you're going to the woods, by the way. And anyways, my first experience with Big Brother was when I was like 12 years old. I was riding a motorcycle, dirt bikes, with my buddies of mine, two friends. And, the field that we were riding in was surrounded by tree line and thick forest. And there was an entrance down the one way where it was about 4 foot wide, where we came in at off of a trail. And down that way, you could probably drive a car down that way about 100 yards and not hit a tree. That's how wide it was. And anyways, I'm going around the field on my dirt bike, and something told me to stop. So I stopped the bike and got off the bike and turned off the fuel. And as I reached down to turn off the fuel, I looked down to my left, down the tree line, and here stands this big, at least 8, maybe 9 feet tall, fully covered in hair, Bigfoot. And, I had always heard them and always felt them around growing up. Okay. I mean, we always heard their cries, their whoops, all that, growing up. But this was the first physical sighting of it. And as I looked at it, I remembered what my dad told me at the table. He said, whenever you have your first sighting, look down. Show them that you're humble enough not to look them in the eye. So I looked down at the ground, and I looked back up and caught a glance, and I was watching it, just a young kid, I mean, I was curious, and it was fidgeting with something up in the tree. And the only thing I could think of was, at the time, now that I look back at it, maybe it was a young female, and she had a baby up in the tree, and she was teaching it how to climb or what to do with, leaves and branches and all that. And I talked to a buddy of mine about it, and Dave Lester, a very dear brother of mine. In fact, him and his wife and family are family to me as far as I'm concerned. But he made a 3D cast of what I saw the first time. And that is literally what I saw. And this is the side that I saw. Okay. But the arms were up in the tree. Okay. Wow. And it turned. And as soon as it turned towards me to look at us, I looked immediately down to the ground. And by the time I looked back up, it was gone.
Wow.
Well, that's fast. Wow.
Yeah. Very, very fast. The second time was about a week later. We went to a different spot, obviously, because we weren't going to go back to that spot again, because my buddies told me, did you see that? And I said, yeah, I saw that. Did you see that? And we couldn't believe it. And by the way, we took our motorcycles, and dirt bikes sit pretty high. Okay. And I had a 175 Kawasaki. Okay. And it sat pretty high. And, I even tried to stand on the seat while they held the motorcycle straight up to reach the branch that this thing was reaching. And I couldn't reach it at 12 years old.
Wow.
So, and I was every bit of at least 5 foot tall. I mean, I was a big kid, so, that was amazing to me. And we all tried it, but none of us could reach the branch at all. So that shows you how tall it was. So, but about a week later, we went to another spot, and we were riding our dirt bikes, and it was at a gravel pit. And this gravel pit was about a mile from where we were the original time, but it was separated by a water source, by a stream, okay, and a pretty big stream. And it had sheer cliffs on both sides. Okay, so obviously we thought we were safe, but we were wrong. Anyways, we're riding through, and the way the gravel pit trails went, you'd go off the big hills of the gravel pits, and you'd go into the woods, and you'd do like a loop through the woods, and you'd come back out into the gravel pit area, and do your high jumps and stuff like that, and then loop back around again. And we always took turns at it, okay? And on the third or fourth time around, I went through into the woods, and I made the first corner, okay? And I was going fine. And the next thing I know, here comes this branch out of nowhere, and it hits the front of the motorcycle, and it flips over with me on it. And ironically, it burnt my calf on my left leg too, from the exhaust. So I still have that scar today to remind me. But as I reached down and pulled the branch out of the front wheel, I looked up, as I was trying to get the bike off of me, and I'm looking up, and here in this tree was this hairy thing.
Wow.
Okay? And then I looked down at the ground about, I don't know, not even more than 30 feet away from the tree, and here's this big, humongous, hairy thing standing there, twice the size of the one that was in the tree. And the only thing I could think of was the one in the tree was a lookout, and they must have been hunting or something, because there was deer that were so scared that they were stone statues, basically standing still. That's how scared they were.
Wow.
And this thing just looked at me, and it had that smirk on its face that makes it look like it's human, and it just looked at me and smirked and kind of did a huff, and turned. And when it turned, the whole torso turned at the same time, and it walked away. Okay. Well, my friend David made a bust of that one too, a 3D cast. And this is what I saw as it turned and walked away.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Wow.
And it literally walked away. Okay.
Wow.
So, and I mean, this thing was huge, and this is the spitting image of what I saw. So,
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing some of the stuff that I've gone through.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've heard you on your show, other people's shows. I'm like, dang, it never ends with Nighthawk. He's like experienced everything.
Well, honestly, I think that the NDEs, the near-death experiences that I had, I think that heightened everything. And I think that they can sense. How do I want to say this? They can sense that part of us, those of us that are gifted enough in order to see things or feel things.
Yeah.
I think we're more susceptible to having the encounters, and then you put the Native American blood on top of that, and you're going to have, a natural magnet for this type of supernatural activity and paranormal activity.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree with you. I have a very close family member that had a near-death experience almost 2 years ago. And he texted me last week and said that, and he's been telling me he's been hearing voices and, things like that. And he doesn't like my ghost stuff, put it that way, anything I do. And I told him, I said, I can help you with that, but you have to listen to what I'm telling you. He's really having a difficult time with this. So I might actually, if you don't mind, hook you up with him, and maybe, talking to somebody such as yourself, about it, who's been through it, because I can't relate to him in that way.
Well, I can
relate.
I
know what's going on with him,
Yeah, I can definitely relate, because some of the things that I've been through that, with the near-death experiences, I mean, I also am one to, when I'll have visions, okay? And I call them visions. They're not fitful dreams. They're visions. And I shared one of my visions that I had about a month ago. I was outside with my wife, Tracy, and it was a sunny day out, and I was just standing there, and all of a sudden this feeling came over me. And I closed my eyes, and I just, I was listening and just trying to sense things around me. and I had this vision given to me of me passing through the sun and feeling, because we had just had my son's dog passed away, and we had just had that whole ordeal happen, and we were kind of down on the dumps and stuff about that. I mean, it's not every day you have to bury your four-legged son, or grandson.
Right, and they're members of the family.
Yeah, exactly. And anyways, make a long story short, the vision I had was I went through the sun, and I felt the warmth of the sun and the brightness of it. And then I hit this blinding white light. And I felt the presence of like all of my ancestors around me, and even the pets I felt around me. And this voice says to me, do you believe in me? And I remember thinking to myself, well, yes, I believe in you, and he says, good, because you're not done yet. And I came back through the sun, and I saw almost like small meteors falling to the earth, like several of them at a time hitting the earth, and not big destructive ones, but just like, how they talk about fire and brimstone, that kind of stuff. Okay. But I came back, and I'm like, I was like blown away because it was so realistic. I mean, I could literally feel the sun and sense the brightness of it, and then the white blinding light after that.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
But it was really something.
Yeah. Wow. You have some questions, and let's get to them real quick. Growing Old with Purpose asks, William, do you do remote viewing and remote clearing?
I've done remote clearing, but as far as remote viewing, I haven't tried it. But I also do, my people call it dream walking. So I dream walk. I can actually send myself to a location and literally walk the location. So I guess in a way it's kind of like
remote viewing.
Yeah, kind of. But I'm not gonna, whenever I do something, when I help somebody, I don't do it for money. First off, I don't do it for fame. I do it because people need it. Okay, and I don't like really even discussing certain times when people ask me for help, because I feel like it's almost like something sacred between you and that person that you shouldn't, talk about. Kind of like it's kind of like the doctor's client privilege type of a thing. You know what I mean?
I understand. Yeah. Brandy and I are the same way. We don't charge for any cases that we go to, and it's always out of our pocket, our own gas money and all that good stuff. And I do talk about private cases, but I don't say where they are or names or anything like that, for sure.
Exactly.
For sure. You got several more questions here. Any thoughts on why some cryptids do harm and some don't? And I know you did answer that, but kind of
the main thing we have to remember, though, is the majority of the cryptids. And one thing I've always told everybody, anybody that knows me knows that I always say the normal cryptids aren't going to have red glowing eyes. First off, okay. You could say it's because their eyes are glowing because they live in caves all you want, but that's not really the case. Most of the times when people see red glowing eyes on any type of a cryptid, they always talk about they feel this evil presence, okay, or this overwhelming sense of fear, things go quiet, and then all of a sudden the attacks happen, to me, there is several types of entities out there that assume the visual spectrum of Bigfoot or Dogman or Goatman or the Mothman, whatever you want to call them. that they're called shapeshifters. Okay. Now, one of the theories that I've been working on for several years now is the fact that, well, like Brandy said in the beginning of the podcast about the reptilians that we were talking backstage, some people don't believe in that theory, but the reptilians have been around since the days of the Anunnaki. Okay. The reptilians are the original people of this planet. We're not. We're a genetic freak experiment. Okay. That the Anunnaki actually did. They combined our DNA with several other things, including the ape. So, and that's recorded in the Sumerian tablets, which is the cuneiform, which is the oldest writing in history. So, Zechariah's Sitchin was the one that actually transcribed it first, and then several others behind him came in and redid it and found out that yes, it was exactly basically how he said word for word that it was reading. So, and the Anunnaki, anyways, they created us, is from what the tablets say, and they created us to mine gold, because the reptilians were not able to be controlled. So
yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Next question. Have you ever encountered a spirit with a great sense of humor, a funny experience?
Actually, yes, I have.
If anybody has, you have.
Yeah, I actually I have. And I don't know. Well, it was either the spirit that was doing it, or it was one of the team members. But you never can tell with jokers, practical jokers. But there was one investigation we were on, and it was at the a haunted amusement park, and they always talked about this one guy that ran this like little ticket stand, and I went in there to do an EVP by myself, and it was a ticket booth probably about maybe 8 foot by 8 foot square, and I had the ticket window and everything, and I'm sitting in there with the recorder going, and I'm asking questions, and I go, can you let me know if you're even here? And the next thing I know, I hear a fart.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well,
Now it was either someone passing gas outside that was very, very loud, or it was a spirit making that noise. So I thought it was funny though.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
I bust out laughing. I
did. I couldn't even do it anymore. I couldn't even, I lost it. I completely lost it. And before that, I had batteries in my hand, and I'm going, okay, move the batteries, and the batteries would move in my hand, use the energy from the batteries. They would use the energy from the batteries to make sounds and stuff. I mean, it was really cool. But as soon as I asked, when I got into that little shack and I asked that question, that's the only thing I heard the whole time I was in there.
Hilarious.
And I just lost it. I couldn't stay in there.
That's hilarious.
I don't blame you.
Nope, not at all. Brandy, you had a funny experience?
Oh, I mean, I have, and believe it or not, it's with my father. Real quick, when I would go down to my mom and dad's house, and I'd be walking up to the door while he would stand behind the door, and when I'd go to walk in, I couldn't walk in. I couldn't get in the door because he'd be standing there, and then you'd hear him laughing, like he's blocking the door. So he passed away in 2013 while it's here at my house. And I'm coming in from the garage and I'm going into the kitchen. I'm going in the next door. Well, guess what? I couldn't open that door. I'm trying and I'm trying. I couldn't open the door. And I finally got it open. And my mom now lives with me. And she was standing in the kitchen. And she looks at me. I said, Mom, I think Dad was blocking the door and I couldn't get in. And she just started laughing. She goes, yeah, that sounds about right.
I mean, you'll
never,
be surprised. You know,
I never had any problems with the door before or after that.
yeah. I mean, think about it though. I mean, if they were living at one time just like we are right now, you know, you're gonna have your practical jokers. You know.
Oh yeah.
Dad is a big. Yeah, my dad is a big one. So.
I guess mine would be the one and only time I ever propositioned a ghost, and that was a private case that another teammate, Dana, at the time was with me, and the lady had reported being touched inappropriately, so we go and we try to recreate, and we were laying there on the bed, and I kind of propositioned the ghost to see if it would do to me what it was doing to her, so I guess that's really my only one and only time. Do what?
Yeah,
I said, did it work?
Actually, I did feel something on my leg. Yes. Yeah. You'll have to ask Dana about that. And Dana Riviera is who was with me.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. So anyway.
I just talked to her yesterday. So yeah, okay.
You'll have to ask her about that. Yeah. So that's the only, weird thing that I guess, funny thing that I've ever done, ghost wise. But it was always in the sake of helping someone. It wasn't for self-pleasure. I can tell you that.
Have you guys ever done like goat man investigations or anything like that?
Mm-mm.
No, that I have not. No. They kind of scare me. So
yeah. I mean, you talk about demonic. There was one instance about an hour from here where we live. This gentleman was coming back from West Virginia from work. He worked late nights, and it was probably like 11:30 at night, quarter to midnight, and he was driving in his car. And he said when he came to a certain part in the road, the car got really cold and the fog got really thick. And the next thing he knows, he sees this thing come out of nowhere. And the only way he could describe it was half man and half goat. And it was running alongside of his car when he was doing 35 miles an hour down this country road. And, it's dark at night and you got to watch for deer and stuff when you're out in the country, driving. But he said this thing kept on trying to reach the door handle of the passenger door to try and open it as he was driving. Yeah. He said the only way he got away from it was he stepped on the gas and he accelerated like double the speed just to get away from it. And he said eventually he saw it dissipate and go back in the fog.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
Just you asked it, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Well, Growing Old says that they've been told that a goat symbolizes something demonic.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's used in a lot of descriptions too, of the demonic too. In fact, even in Native American folklore, we have the Wendigo, which is kind of a demonic haunting, if you per se, you could call it a demonic haunting. It's a malevolent spirit that an evil entity that takes over the human and basically turns them into cannibals. There's been several cases of it in Canada, and a couple cases down here in the States over the last 50, 60 years.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah, there was one that wasn't too long ago about some guy on a bus. Did you read about that?
Yes. It was in Florida or something, maybe?
Something where the guy was actually eating another person on the bus.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah.
I don't know the whole story, so I don't want to start quoting things. So
right.
If you want to read something weird, anybody out there, find that story because that is
weird.
that is like demonic if you've ever heard it right there.
Yeah, the one that comes to mind is the one in Canada about the Swift Runner was his name. He was a Native American, and he took his family out to this remote cabin in the middle of winter, and he came back after the thaw, and everybody noticed how he was healthy looking. He had color, he had weight on, but yet he reported his family was killed by something. Oh. And the Canadian Mounties went out to the cabin location, and they found literally remains of his children and his wife, basically skinned and processed and eaten by Swift Runner. And he blamed the Wendigo for it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they found remains of the wife inside a stew pot that was still on the stove in the cabin.
Wow. So, wow. That's crazy. Well, we are getting ready to come up to the 2-hour mark. There is one comment here that I do want to throw up, and this has happened to me. Aussie Sue said, okay, YouTube is at it again. They unsubscribed me from your channel as they have with another. That has happened to myself also, getting unsubscribed from channels that I watch. So guys, not only our channel, but other channels that you like and you subscribe to, double check that you are still subscribed to them, because it's absolutely correct.
Yeah, if you're not getting any notifications for any new shows that they have, go look.
Exactly.
It's happened to me on several occasions. So
me too. Or they'll turn off your notifications itself.
Yeah, they'll do that too. That's always nice.
Yeah. So anyway, definitely go check that out. But William, thank you so much.
Oh, not a problem. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, you are welcome on this show anytime. You are a wealth of information.
Yeah, we can talk about anything.
Yeah.
Scary stuff. Scary stuff.
Yes. And
just think, I haven't even told the good stuff yet.
I know I'm gonna have to schedule you back.
Yeah, because we're gonna have to go into really scary stuff.
Right. Exactly. Well, I want to thank Crystal McGee, Maggie M10, Be Kind, BMR, Be Kind Again for her great donation, and Canaday, and the Nana Boss. Thank you to all of you guys for your super chats and your memberships and all that good stuff. So we definitely appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Every little bit helps to keep us going. So we can go out there and find new stuff and do great things.
Yeah. And bring more content, because we like going out in the field and doing lives too. So yeah, we like doing all that kind of good stuff. So we appreciate everybody for tuning in and watching. And tomorrow night we have Bigfoot Michigan Rob.
Yeah, and I'll bring a little bit of what I did in Oklahoma last week.
Yeah, we can talk about that stuff. So yep. Thank you, everybody. Somebody commented on the mods. Yes, absolutely. Thank you to our moderators. You guys are great also.
You guys rock. We love you.
For sure. And Nighthawk, once again, thank you for coming on. We definitely appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Have a great night, everybody.
Yes, everybody definitely have a great night. And we have a new closing here. Let me find it. The Nana Boss made it for us, so I'm going to play that. So we'll see y'all. Good night.